Francisco 49 is deep in the heart. Like Joe Montana in the corner, D. Clark. Garrison Hurst, stiff farm going 99.
This is the 49er Faithful UK show. And that was not a huge amount of fun. A dose of therapy is needed, so no intro, let's get to it. I'm Gareth Ellis, and I'm joined by Paul Hope.
What up, Purple?
Lee Gowland.
Hey, guys.
And Najee Karar.
Hello, everyone.
It's good to see you. There's a lot of smiles going on, so I can only assume that's some kind of reaction to the game, and we're going to smile through it. So let the autopsy begin. Do you have some talking points? Who's going to kick us off? Paul, Mr. Homework.
Yeah, so first talking point, missed opportunities. Second talking point, a world of hurt in more ways than one. And my final talking point is more of a question. Oh. How are we all feeling after that?
Yeah, well, feelings may vary. Lee.
Yeah, so I'm going to go for Paul's second one, which is injuries. Injuries are mounting up yet again. Number 2, Purdy, bad day in the office. And number 3, marvellous Mustafa.
Ooh. Good. Najee, what have you got for us?
Yeah, we cannot not talk about the injuries, unfortunately. My point was this is starting to feel like 2020 all over again. I honestly don't have 2 other points. It was very deflating. I had this sense of dread building during the game, so I'm just going to say that's my other 2 points. Dread building.
An impending sense of doom.
Yes, that's the one. The one.
Dread. There we go. I've got injuries, execution, and ideas.
Yeah.
2 of those things are missing, and 1 is in abundance.
Yeah.
See what we work out with. So let's start with that one. Injuries. I haven't seen any official update on Brandon Ayuk, but I think we all can probably suspect what's happened, given the video and given the propensity of athletes' knees when stressed in that way. I think he's done for the season.
Yep.
Yeah, got to agree with that. When we saw the replay come back, I think we all looked at each other and thought the same thing. He's done. He's gone. His ACL's popped there. It might not be too bad. It might not be. So obviously, there's different severities of the injury. He could get away with the lesser severity of the injury, which ultimately doesn't matter which one it is. He's not playing again this season, but he might be able to come back at an earlier date next season to get at least a pre-season in.
Yep. It happened, didn't it? I mean, they don't usually talk about ACLs unless they're pretty sure it's going to be done. They, until they get the MRI and everything, which would have been today or is happening right now. So we'll know more later on, I would imagine. But it's not just Brandon, isn't it? It's just Debo keeping on going, not being able to play, and we're missing Dre, and we just have no safeties apart from the wonderful Mustafa. It's just an abundance. So JJ was missing yesterday, and we still have no definite timeline on CMC. It's just a little bit weird. We've been trying to fight those demons for so long, and we've done a good job the past 2-3 years. But it's just, this feels like 2020, where admittedly 2020 was very early on that we lost a lot of people, and for the season as well. And we kind of put that season in the bin rather rapidly. This one it was a bit more slow burner. We're still at week 7, and it's definitely not done. We could still win the division, I believe, and make it to the playoffs.
Back. Yeah, we only won game back.
It is not impossible, but it's that impeding sense of there's not much else we can do here apart from just wait for people to come back. I think the biggest name that we've been missing over all this period, to me, is not CMC. It's Dre. We're missing Dre Greenlaw so much. Games like yesterday with Dre on the field, I genuinely believe we win it because the intensity.
That's bold.
Well, it's just the example of that Mahomes run, right? Do you really think Dre would have let him sidestep him? No. He would have taken the 15-yard penalty and nailed him and
Yeah.
gave him a Gatorade whilst he was
Najee,
out
I
there.
love the fact you're saying that because off air,
It's
me
true.
and Gareth had exactly the same conversation. And I said, look, if I was playing on defense, I wouldn't give a flying fig about that 15-yard penalty.
No.
I would
You
be
just
looking to put him
nail it.
6 foot under the ground,
Yep.
nail him, and make sure that next time he thinks about doing it, he knows I don't give a toss about that penalty.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
that'll stop him.
And it's just kind of a symptom of how the whole team has been performing. We've mentioned execution. I think it's something that it's just kind of intangible, but you know, the drive that Dre, and I'm not saying Fred isn't, but Dre is just on another level in terms of intensity, and that drive and that willing to do whatever it takes to win, it's kind of missing. We just can't win games that are close. And we could have won yesterday very easily. It really wasn't a hard game to win. All the games we lost were like this. We're so very close, and we can't just pass that extra gear to win games that are close like this, and that's the NFL. So yeah, to me, Dre is missing. I mean, obviously we'll miss Ayuk and we're missing CMC. I'm not saying we're not missing them, but in the grand scheme of things, until he's back, I don't really see a way out of this.
I think there's
Yeah.
it is that sense of you just think who's going to get injured this quarter.
Yeah.
It's just kind of you've just got that sense of it again.
Yeah.
Paul, you didn't have injuries on your list, but you did have hurt.
He did.
You
He did.
Kind
Yeah,
of.
he did.
It wasn't about injuries, the world
He
of hurt.
dressed it up.
So I did, yeah. I actually agree with Najee, but disagree on the performance last night because I don't think we missed Dre Greenlaw last night, Najee, because I think the defense actually played better than we give credit for. And I think CMC, a healthy CMC, would have given Brock some weapons last night because we were sat in that bar yesterday. Patrick Mahomes hasn't beat us with his arms. We've watched a game, everybody, where neither quarterback threw a touchdown pass. Patrick Mahomes beat us with his legs. And you're right, Dre Greenlaw would have smashed him into next week, which is what everybody wanted, Najee. And that shows with the NFL rules where he's tiptoeing down the sideline. Warner missed him, and nobody dared touch him because of the flag. And I think we missed Greenlaw for that. But when you look at Purdy without McCaffrey, and we've been very high on this show, Gareth, the world of hurt is because we love Brock. It's a bad day at the office. We created 3 different turnovers yesterday and scored 7 points off them. You win the turnover battle, you normally win football games. And that's why I said, Najee, world of hurt, more ways than one. And Gowland's celebrating because of the score prediction and reminding me that this trophy might get bigger if a certain someone wins, and we'll get to that later. I had a very painful night yesterday, and the Chiefs fans were actually better behaved than El Presidente. So that says something.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go that far.
But-
I would not go that far.
But we've been very harsh on this show, rightly so, because of the defence. And the defence didn't lose us this game last night, chaps. That's why the world of hurt for me is we've got to give credit where credit's due sometimes, but that feels weird because we lost the game. And as you've often said before, Najee, doesn't matter what the stats look like. Could have been Mahomes' worst game of his career, but he's come out of Santa Clara yesterday, Gareth, with the win. So
Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying the defense didn't play well yesterday. They did. But I can genuinely guarantee you, had we had CMC, I don't think Brock would have had a better day. Spagnuolo's just that good.
the
And
Chiefs' defense. I mean, the preview
It's
show, Najee.
incredible.
You
guys were right. And
I was watching it yesterday thinking, this is weird because me and Gareth called a lot of this their run defense, what Spagnuolo was going to do to Brock. And I was like, I wanted to be so wrong, Najee. I wanted to go back in time and be wrong. And it was painful.
I was at a point where this game felt very much like the Ravens games of last year, and I had to kind of put it in a bin anyway before kickoff, thinking it won't matter when it's all said and done. This game will not matter because just like the Ravens game last year, in terms of record, it will not make or break our season. I don't think that one loss will not matter, and I still stand by it. I think losing to AFC opponent, especially when it's our that extra game that it slot in, right? That's that one. I genuinely don't think it matters whether you're winning or not in the grand scheme of things when you are a good team and you're beating teams. The problem is we've lost so much during that game. Brandon Ayuk, essentially. And they kind of broke our spirits, I feel like. That it's just going to be so much harder to win next week in Dallas. And Dallas are terrible. Even if we didn't lose Brandon Ayuk and we looked better, I would have been like, all right, it's the Chiefs, whatever. But it's not even just that it is the Chiefs. It's the way we looked and the way we have been playing all season. Feels like, as I said, this impending sense of dread that it's not going to get better. And I could be wrong, and I hope I'm wrong. But this is why I think Dre might change things, because it will make people accountable, and it will shout at people when he's back in the locker room. And his intensity will trigger something, maybe.
We do need something. I think there is
Yes,
that
100%.
sense of dread. We certainly seemed beaten. I think I've put ideas because I think certainly offensively we just seemed short of ideas. It's easy to put that down on the injuries, but it's been there much of the season. Perhaps we'll move into Purdy and Purdy's performance after that. But once again, our offense just seemed to be, well, we'll try this. Oh, okay, we'll try this. And I don't know, Shanahan just doesn't seem to have been in any sort of rhythm. And we can talk about how good the Chiefs' defense are, and that's fine. But we are supposed to have an offensive genius and some of the best defensive weapons. Admittedly, they were missing from that game, but we still should have something. And there was an occasional pass. Kittle made a couple of passes, but we seemed to have some deep shots, some run the balls, and it just seemed to me a mess. I couldn't see what the game plan was, or the ideas, the direction. I don't quite know how to put my finger on it. We've seen when Shanahan's in his groove and that offense, you can just see how we just steamroller people. We seem to have none of that approach.
Yeah. I think as much as I hate Tom Brady, especially in his commentating career, I don't actually hate him as a player. I think he was amazing. But as a commentator, I really think he's pretty bad. But he touched on a point during the broadcast about his high percentage plays that the Chiefs started to run when they were ahead. All the screens and the bubbles and all that stuff. It's a way, I've talked about it a million times and I'm going to say it again. It's a way to protect momentum. You've got the momentum in a game. The only thing that's going to take it away is you making a really bad mistake, throwing it away. If you don't do that, then you'd still have a chance to stay in a game and win the game. And we just cannot seem to be able to do that. And I am here thinking, this guy, as you say, is an offensive genius. Surely we can run a screen without Debo. Surely someone can just catch the ball and run a ton of screen. Why aren't we doing it? I don't understand. Every time the Chief brought pressure, and I'm talking 6 or 7 people rushing, where is the ingenuity to have a killed screen on one of those things that just takes that game completely out? We always schemed really well against the Rams and slowed down the D-line and made them look foolish by doing things behind the line of scrimmage. And yesterday we get absolutely destroyed in the line of scrimmage, and none of that gameplay is shown. It's really weird how, you're right, seems to be like his ego find out and his ego is in the way of him trying to adjust to anything, or maybe, I don't know, but something is going to have to change if we want to start becoming that team again that scores 35 points a game and is unstoppable without CMC and Debo and Ayuk and Kittle. Because
our offense seems different. I know when you miss a top player, your offense is different. But
it's tough,
a lot of other offenses don't just abandon half of the playbook because the player who could execute it the best, be it Debo or CMC, isn't there. Other teams kind of stick with their identity and they kind of slot in other players. And maybe you don't have the same success, or maybe you make it slightly easier on less skilled players. But we seem to fall apart in what we're trying to do.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I know what you're saying.
Paul, you're agreeing.
To be fair, Nadji, so we had the meet up with the Chiefs fans and they were very respectful. We'll get on that later. But when we went on that decent drive where Mason suddenly found the gaps and it was like, yes, Jordan, you're waiting for the gaps, you're attacking them. I think the score was 21-12 at the time. After the game, the Chiefs fans came over having a chat and they said, we're not going to lie. We thought you had us. You were building momentum. The drive was on. And then it went when Purdy with the third interception in the end zone. And again, there was times, I think me and Lee said it, there was one point where it was like second and goal. And Jordan Mason, we all called it in the bar, you're running this up the middle. It's like, if we can see it, like you said, supposed to have this kind of offensive genius.
He's caught in the backfield there, isn't it?
Try something. And again, the Chiefs are great at stopping the run. And we just needed something. And we've talked on this show, chaps, about momentum. And I said that we had 3 turnovers on Superman, as the Chiefs fans were calling him. And we're still sat here picking our brains. How have we lost that game? But it was a bad day in the office for Brock. Like you said, maybe Nadji, the bigger picture, you shared that gif of 2020 Lorden. And I thought, do you know what, Gareth? We wish Brandon all the best. But since we paid him 23 receptions, 58 yards per game, 0 touchdowns out for the season. Then I saw someone share on Twitter, why is everyone freaking out, Gareth? We had no starting receivers, no CMC, a banged up secondary, Purdy playing his worst game ever, third kicker, and we only lost by 10 to the Super Chiefs. And I thought, actually, in perspective, that sounds all right.
Yeah, but that doesn't kind of chime with what I saw. Lee, you've been very quiet. Taking it all in.
It's because I'm listening dutifully.
He's looking on a website for some new replacement. I don't know what he's looking for a replacement for.
I agree with where Gareth was going to go with that. I understand what you're saying, Paul. It's not the end of the world. We had no wide receivers. Why is everybody complaining? It was still a lackluster display, and I would put that firmly at the feet of Shanahan. You were talking about the Jordan Mason. Why doesn't he do that? I think it's because he always tries to do the most complex play he can to try and show his play scheming prowess, rather than his play calling prowess, because we know that's debatable. But I think he just tries to show people how clever he can set up plays. And if they're not coming off, then he looks foolish. He should go back to some bread and butter schemes that every single offensive coordinator uses, especially in moments like that when you're 2 yards from the end zone. Let's just have a run up the middle. Come on, 2 yards. That's all we need to get.
I'm not trying to be Mr. Positive on this show, and I deliberately wanted to come on and be like, I was stood with you, Lee. We were frustrated.
Yeah.
You know, you're scoring 12 points at home, and the Chiefs aren't setting the world alight. And we struggled. I mean, Ronnie Bell had a couple of catches, but why is he going to Ronnie Bell in that moment? And whether Ronnie ran the wrong route and Brock tried to stand up for him, it was just a comedy of errors. You know, we're very bullish on this show before the game, but to be fair, Najee, it was difficult to remain positive on that performance for what we were seeing.
I think that's the whole overarching feeling that we all have. We're usually very easy, and there is a lot of positive to take from this game, which we'll talk about in a minute, because I should have talked about this in my point. But Ricky Pearsall, I mean, there is some positives, but it's the overall feeling of the entire game that just kind of is very deflating and hard to forget, especially that it was just yesterday. I mean. But yeah, putting that kind of display, and I know you don't have your wide receiver and you can't run the ball because the Chiefs defense is really good, but I don't know. There was something else about it. The eye test. We always talk about this, but we just looked like a bad team, and we were, and that's just
At
feels.
times I wish I was like Stevie Wonder.
Yeah,
and then I didn't.
We just looked like a bad team, and I mean, thank God we're not the Jets or the Panthers, but
the Browns.
Or the Browns, but it's just it's just it's very hard to explain, but this feeling of something is very wrong and it's not getting fixed, and I can't quite put my finger on it exactly.
It's the frustration that we're very clearly underperforming.
Yeah.
For even for the personnel we've had and the consistency in the players we've had together. When we were poor a few years ago, when we didn't have the players, you still felt this. It was growing pains.
True.
And I got to say, yesterday I found myself asking the question: are we looking at a team, at a group of players who've peaked? And there's no more ideas, and we don't know how to get anything more out of this group of players. And I think that's just been something from this season where, Ike's been rusty, but he also hasn't been able to get him in the game. We've had those CMCs, so surely you just lean on Debo. Debo's been pretty anonymous. Mason and Kittle have been our offense this season. It's not been there. It's just this game, I think, showed it up, because occasionally when we've been able to win against bad teams, it papers over the cracks. But that was, I'm not saying I was right, but that was what the eye test was beginning to form that question in my mind. Have we seen the best of that group of players?
I hope not. I hope they still got some in them, and they're gonna turn it around. It was embarrassing, and I really do hope that they take it out on the Cowboys next week.
Totally.
This week. But after the performance we saw, it's hard to think. If we want to just circle back to Purdy,
I think we'll pick up on Purdy. I think that the Purdy or Shanahan, the blame, they're too intertwined as
Yeah.
with every quarterback and coach.
He looked to me like he looked when he was at Iowa State. He just tried to do a little too much. And maybe he did have to. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that trying to thread the needle sometimes isn't needed. But especially the third pick, it's just that's something you do not do. If anybody's watched the Tennessee Alabama game, their QB was a college player of 19 years old and made the exact same mistakes. And it's just like, I know you're young, and I know you've not been in this league for long, and you've not played that many games, but those kind of mistakes you just cannot do. If you score here, there's a chance we'll win that game. So even 3 points, we're still in it. Throwing a pick is just the worst thing you can possibly do. Just take the sack. Just don't throw it away. Don't fumble it. That's the thing. But yeah, apart from that, the dime to Cowing was absolutely beautiful. A couple of balls to George were gorgeous as per usual. He's good, and I guess this game is gonna teach him a lot. So there's
the one to Ayuk as well, Najee. They expect
Yeah,
Ayuk to
should have
catch
caught
that.
that.
I mean,
Should've caught that.
You look at the stats, Gareth, and I know you shouldn't just go off the stats, but he was 17 for 31, 54.8 completion rate, which is obviously shows where the struggles were. 3 turnovers. Mahomes, 16 for 27, 59 completion rate, and he passed for 154 yards. So when you look at it in the context, it's not like Mahomes has come in and blown us out. But you're right, Najee, that Iowa State, that is things that I'd heard from people who watched Iowa State, who were fans of Purdy. Said first year he was lights out, second year he really struggled. And me and Matt McDonald were talking in the bar. Cast your mind back to when Kaepernick was the quarterback and Harbaugh tried to turn him into a pocket passer. It feels at times that Kyle Shanahan's got this shiny new toy. He's got a quarterback that can finally do what he wants him to do. And he's trying to kind of prove, as Lee said, the complex play. Check the checkdowns. Check the yards after catch. That's what Mahomes does for the Chiefs. That's what Mahomes does. The Chiefs fans last night were buzzing over their defense. They weren't saying this is the Patrick Mahomes from 5 years ago. They're quite happy with that. And they've left with the victory.
I would like, I know we love a stat on the show. I'd love to see the stats of how many check down pass Purdy's done this season. It wouldn't surprise me if it's 32nd.
Why aren't we using Jacob Cowing there?
I don't understand how it's not a thing.
Well, like you said, Ricky Purcell. Use Ricky Purcell for a jet sweep. Like you said, Lee, with his pace, bring him in. Boom, jet sweep. Get easy yards.
Easy completion to get him in the game. The commentators always talked about this. Just give a rookie some easy completion. Like something that's like 99% completion rate. Yeah. Just give him that.
Yeah,
lead on your tight ends.
Which is what the Chiefs were using.
Kittle's 3 targets a game. And there's Salbert. He can catch the ball. He's had a couple of catches early on and now seems to have just be forgotten again.
Yeah.
And it's that, where's that inventiveness? And I think it's Purdy didn't have a good game. I think in the interception, you're right, that was a very poor decision. But I also think it's that understanding of we're not going to run this ball in from here. I'm going to have to throw it. And this is as good a chance as I'm getting. He was hit as he threw, but I don't know that
I was
he
in
made
double
that much
coverage.
difference. Yeah, it was.
Even if he throws it clean, the
Is that the
chance
one
of
to
completing-
Conley? I mean, Chris
Yeah.
Conley, friend of the show, double covered. Throw
Well,
it up there, Brock. Chris
whether
Conley
he's trying
will
to
get it.
throw it up for him to go and get it, and of course it's faded. Well, this was your point, Lee, about Brock Purdy bad day. What's
that was purely it. He's had a bad day. I mean, two of the interceptions were tipped, but to be honest, even if they weren't tipped, the placement of the ball, where the ball was going, it wasn't good enough anyway. I would argue whether or not he was being sincere when he was up at the podium afterwards and he said Ronnie Bell ran the right route. The look on Ronnie Bell's face as he turned around suggests he didn't run the right route. And the look on Purdy's face after he released the ball suggested Ronnie Bell did not run the right route. So he took one for the team there, which shows leadership.
Totally.
So
That's good.
that out of the three
He's not Aaron
interceptions,
Rodgers.
I'm willing to forgive because I don't think that was on Purdy. I think that was a wrong route by Ronnie Bell. As I said off air before, I can't believe Ronnie Bell's still on this field, still on this team. Jacob Cowan was our highest graded offensive player and he only played 12 snaps.
Yeah,
and I think Ronnie Bell played 25. And that's why I would like to see more of Ronnie Bell. Not more of Ronnie Bell. I do not want to see more of Ronnie Bell. I want to see more of
There's the soundbite, everybody. You heard it from Lee Gowland himself.
But
Get those 10 jerseys out.
we know why Bell will get those snaps over Cowan, because Bell's probably better at blocking. And it's back to that Shanahan method, which is good, but he's so rigid to it that he's like, it doesn't matter. Cowan might be the fastest guy and the best hands. If he can't block, he's not getting snaps. Yeah. And it's like, don't ask him to block then. Send him down the field and ask him to catch. Just, we're in this situation. You don't have all of your toys. Make use of what you've got. Don't try and fit what you have into something predetermined.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, yesterday, Purdy did look as though he was. Oh God, what's the word? He was under pressure. He was struggling. You could see he was struggling.
Oh yeah.
I need to go over to the Chiefs side and say Spagnuolo again. Called a hell of a game.
And he's competing.
I think he's such a great DC. He's got Shanahan's number. He's Shanahan's daddy.
You
have to admit it.
Yeah, 100%. He might be the best defensive coordinator I've ever seen. Masterful yesterday. It's incredible what he can do with his players, making people like Chanel.
Flustered is the word.
Yeah,
just
flustered.
Like I was when I couldn't think of the word. I was flustered about thinking about.
Making players like Chanel look like
absolute
whole pro world people is kind of very good. I mean, I'm not saying Chanel is not a good player. It's just making him look even better than what he is. No, Spags is he's good. I hope he gets a head coach job soon so we can beat him.
When we did the preview show, Nadji, that was the one name that kept jumping out, Leo. And I was thinking, and again, they did nothing different than what we were expecting. It wasn't like, when McDonald come in with the Ravens, he was moving things around. We said in the preview show, Gareth, they've got a good front seven and they've got great secondary. The man coverage, Nadji. I mean, obviously, you talked on this show about playing the game and you see some of the angles. Their secondary was just touch close. And they would dare and Brock to throw it. And obviously got the turnovers. The fact that he was blitzing Nick Bolton, not just Chanel. Chris Jones, you could argue, had a quiet game for Chris Jones standards. Yet the defence is so lights out. And even the Chiefs fans were saying that, Lee. The chants I was hearing in Newcastle was every time the defence was on the field. It wasn't when the offence was on the field. It was the defence. And that's what won them the game. Defences win championships, has been said on this show before.
I'll tell you what I'm looking forward to this week. I'm looking forward to Johnny Dell's Football Academy. Johnny Dell, friend of the show.
Be good.
Yeah, and I want to see it broken down because he'll be able to have a look at that and tell you exactly how the play should have worked and where the breakdown was, whether or not it was in execution or just sloppy play or good defense. And Paul said it. I mean, we were all there. We knew how they were going to play against Purdy. Because we'd seen them do it before. We've seen other teams do it against Purdy. It's again flustered. Shanahan should have known that. but why didn't Shanahan scheme to mitigate that? And
This
that's
is
why I
what
want
I
to see
mean.
Johnny Dell.
Yeah.
We used to do it against the Rams. We used to make Aaron Donald look like a rookie, and we can't do it to Chris Jones, and Chanel. Surely there's a way.
Well, to be
Even
fair,
if it's
I mean,
not what you
Chris
want to do.
Jones was kept quite quiet last night. He was fairly.
He was, but there was no
invisible.
sacks at all, right? They stacked the box to stop the run, and we did not take advantage of that, which is crazy. Absolutely crazy.
Well, there was that one run, Nadji, where they were daring us to do what Shanahan likes and hit the edge. And I think it was your boy Garendo. I know you're not a massive fan. And he seemed to be powering away. It looked like he was going to get 10 yards. Then I think he got back to the line of scrimmage, or he got 1 yard right on the far corner. And it was like the Chiefs were saying, "You're not beating us on the outside, son." Then Jordan Mason was getting stuffed in the middle. It was just nice to see Mason, as I said, in the third quarter, hit that seam. Because when you watch the breakdowns on Twitter, Brian Baldy and some of the others say, watch the play first. Don't just do a screenshot and look at the gap. Because you'll know yourself from playing running back, Nadji. They're daring you to take the first gap. The offensive line have to work in unison. And it was nice to see Mason hit those gaps. I mean, that one run he did when he just burst through. At one point, I'm not going to lie, I thought, he's going to the house. I thought, Nadji's going to be talking point. Jordan Mason, 50-yard bomb. But I'll be honest, Gareth, I cheated with the third talking point. Because like Nadji, I was on the train home with Connor. And I was like, I've got to do the pod tonight, Connor. I need 3 talking points. And he was like, good luck with that. Good luck. And I was like, you Nadji, I struggled. I was like, 3 talking points.
I struggled as well, just to kind of try and find some way to sum it up.
Yeah. Right, let's do positive stuff. I think we've dejected
I think
everyone
so.
enough.
I mean, the last point I was going to say on that was it's something that has been symptomatic this year, which is getting receivers open. And again, it was one of the things that kind of everyone always said about Shanahan. He's a genius. He'll always get these receivers open. This year, he hasn't been able to do it. And I think we've seen everyone seems to think, well, Brock has struggled, and Brock's stats clearly show the amount of times he's not been able to complete passes. I don't think he's different, and I don't think his accuracy has gone. His receivers just aren't getting open. And I think that when you come across the best defense, that just really showed. He had nowhere to go last night. The amount of times he's throwing the ball away because there's just nothing for him to go. And that's not him. We've got to find a way to get those receivers open. But anyway, let's go on to something more positive. Marvelous Mustafa. Off you go, Lee. Oh, no, Nadji. Nadji's going to...
No, go on, Lee. It was 0 points.
I thought he was outstanding bar one play where he got completely and utterly cooked.
Yes.
But other than that one play, he was excellent on the night. His tackling was great. It was on point. His coverage was great. He's coming on a lot quicker than what I was expecting him to for a third round pick. Third round pick? Yeah, third round pick. He's coming on a lot quicker for what I expected. And I'm suddenly getting Fred Warner vibes, because obviously Fred Warner came through in the third round. We picked him. And we made him a captain really, really early, which I was quite surprised about, because he hadn't particularly shown at that time that he was worthy of being made a captain. But I think giving him that responsibility brought Fred on, and you can see how it's worked with Fred. And I can just see the speed with which Mustafa has getting rid of some of those earlier game mistakes. And I think that bodes well for the safety room. I don't think it bodes well for Hufanga, because potentially we're not even going to try and re-sign him in the off-season. But it's good to know that Mustafa has come through. And he, at the moment, I'm going to... Jury's still out, but I think he's going to be a hit as far as the draft pick is concerned.
No pun intended.
I see what you did there. Nice.
You know what he's like, Nadji. Do you know that one play before you give your thoughts where Mahomes kind of smashed into him? Mustafa himself on Twitter has shared a couple of gifs about welcome to the NFL. That's my NFL moment. And not going to lie, chaps, I got cooked. So I like that sense of humour. He's not letting that one play. I just wanted to throw that in, Nadji, before you gush over your boy.
I mean, Mahomes is a big guy. Anyway, he's amazing. I really like him, and I agree with Lee. I think his development is really what's interesting about him, because the talent was there from day one. You could see him flying around. But he's tightened up all of his tackle. He's much, much better. I can't remember who he absolutely nailed in the backfield. Might have been Kareem Hunt. He
came through the traffic
early.
and just
like
like
a
a
missile.
Mm.
Yeah, and
Yeah, it's Hunt because Brian Bolginger has just
Good.
tweeted it out and tagged
yeah,
it.
right.
Plays like a bat out of hell, and the angle from the all-22 when he hits him,
Oh,
you're gonna love it.
incredible.
You're gonna love it.
It's yeah. If you're starting to play football and you want to learn how to tackle, that's how you tackle.
I was saying,
Picture perfect 101.
I think they said, "Oh, that's a proper football tackle."
That is
My immediate thought was that's actually a rugby tackle where they wrap up and take you down from the thighs, not the try and hit you into the body.
Oh, it's because the guy
to the ground.
jumped, but the hit and wrap up is exactly what you should be doing.
Totally.
No, it's good. I'm not sure about the Hufanga tech. I think Hufanga is still a bit more of a playmaker, can change the game on its head. You know, he's more of a ball hawk. So I think he would complement really well with Mustafa. I think Brown is struggling a little bit more than I would have wanted him to be better than Mustafa, and he's not. And he's taken on that role that I forgot his name now, that we had last year. Gibson, thank you. Had, but a lot quieter and not quite as decisive. Gibson had a tendency to just show up out of nowhere every now and then. Brown, not quite yet, but it might come. He's still a second-year player. Let's remember he was kind of thrusted into playing last year without much ado. So, no, yeah, I'm very happy about Mustafa. I think if he can carry on getting better, that's definitely, as Lee said, a hit. And he's, as I said, he reminds me a little bit of Cam Chancellor in the way he plays. And if he can get to 50% of what Cam Chancellor was, we'll have a good player on our hands. Yeah, no, good. It's amazing. Let's see if he can carry that on and cut down the mistakes, because that's what you cannot do when you're safety, unfortunately. Yeah.
We mentioned it briefly, but Ricky Purcell made his debut, first round draft.
He scored MVP.
50 days after being shot,
Yeah.
and you're out on the field catching passes in the NFL. Fairly quiet, but I think just an important get that game under your belt, get those catches under your belt. That was the aim for the day.
Very impressive to see a guy on the field after being shot. Although, all in all, the shot was very, very lucky, and it was basically a flesh wound. So, but yeah, no, it was very good. I would like to, when the All-22 comes out, I think I'm going to watch. I think it was on the first series, but it might even be the first play of the game where we on our offense. Well, I think he's open on the fade. He's on the left side at the X, and I think he's open. Brock just doesn't see him. So I'm going to have a look at that.
There was another play, Nadji, where I think Brock's seen him, but Ricky didn't get his head around, and it's that little timing issue where...
Yeah. I mean, that's the kind of thing that's going to come by being on the field and practicing and getting to grips with Brock's rhythm and Ricky's rhythm, and they're going to hopefully gel well together. He's going to have to play with Ayuk gone probably for the entire season. Basically... I think we brought him to kind of replace Brandon, or at least supplement him. So I'm excited to see what he can do. Yeah, welcome home. First game, first discord MVP. Hopefully there'll be more of those in the future. But not just because you've played the game, but because you actually scored every touchdown. But yeah, it's good to see. What do you think, Paul?
Yeah, we were willing for him to get his touchdown. I mean, I'm smirking because I know you didn't mean to downplay there. He was only shot 50 days ago and it's a flesh wound. James Little said the same in the bar. And me and Connor Ryan were like, we've just watched Mustafa smash a man into the ground. And that's what creates NBA and flag football players, tackles like that. And then you see Ricky Purcell, like Gareth said, you take nothing away, the fact that he's made it back. And we joke about the Premier League on this show. The Premier League footballer getting shot, Nadji, you wouldn't see him for 5 years. Let alone 50 days. But like you said, it's that separation. The Chiefs, it would have been interesting, Gareth, to see Ricky Purcell in a fully fit offense against the Chiefs, because in the Super Bowl, one of the issues was separation. And the reason we've taken this kid is his route running. We've all seen the clips on YouTube. We've seen the highlights out of college. I just can't wait for Discord to melt when he does one of those one-handed catches he did in college, Nadji, or like you said, it's a 3-touchdown game. I mean, we've only got the Cowboys this week, Gareth. What better way for Ricky Purcell to bounce back? Some baldies coming this week. I can feel it already with number 14.
Yeah. We will keep your powder dry for that. Keep your powder dry for that. Jacob Cowan, we've mentioned that, and another receiver who's going to have to step up, and did okay.
Yeah, I would play him in the slot moving forward. I'd have Jennings in the X, Debo in the Z, Cowan in the slot, and then Purcell mixed in. That would be where I would go moving forward. And I think I've never seen Lee Gowland so happy, other than when he updated the score prediction to when Cowling caught that pass. Because that was a moment of, like, we talk about momentum, Nadji, and that was just such a huge game changer for us at the time. And the fact that he held on to it, and you just thought, yeah, he's looked good in pre-season, Gareth.
Yeah,
Jason DePonte, friend of the show, he's massive on Jason Cowan, and he knows more.
Several said that he would be good, I think,
Yeah.
at the time. Particularly when Purcell was injured early. I think people were saying, Cowan could be a bigger part of this season than Purcell. Obviously, that was before.
I like him better than Ronnie Bell. That's saying something. See, I knew we'd get some laughs, people. This is what the group therapy is for. Bear with us.
Cowing, I was looking forward to see him. I just didn't think he would see the field at all this season. Obviously, he's going to have to. I'm still unclear on what JJ's got injury-wise and whether he'll play against the Cowboys or not. But I'm excited to see him. Last year in college, he was just
not Nadji. They actually said on Friday that he will be playing against the
He will
Cowboys.
Oh, yeah, okay. There we go. Well, that's good news. So I'm not sure we will see much of Cowing if JJ. Hopefully, Debo will have shaken off whatever illness he's got that made him not being able to breathe. Apparently, clearly COVID. So yeah, but no, it's good to see. As I was saying last year, apart from Odunze, I can't remember who drafted him, but he was the second highest receiving target. Cowing was. So, he has potential. He will catch balls. He's a good ball catcher. So, yeah, that was a good route. I think Brock underthrew it a little bit because he had to stop and turn around to catch it. If he catches that in stride, there's no way he gets caught. But I mean, it's like a 60-yard in the air or something, so not easy to do. But yeah, it's exciting to see these new guys, and we can look forward to see them grow and hopefully become staple Niners.
I think what was an issue on that catch, Nadji, was one, we were all waiting for the flag because I'm not saying the referees. Two, the way the game was going, it was underthrown, like you said, and when he hit the deck, you thought, is the ball going to bobble out? Because that was just typified to the fact that he actually held on to it. I was like, yes, but yeah, it was a strange game, Gareth.
It was. The last positive I've got is Kalia Davis, a big man interception. So love to see.
That was great.
But possibly
it was the thing of beauty. That's what it was. He was like a finely tuned kangaroo jumping 25 foot in the air to knock a pass, and then jumped up again 30 foot in the air to catch it. I wish he'd ran that for a pick six.
That would have been
fantastic. Maybe it'll be with the receivers next week because it was a high point, wasn't it, Nadji? You went up and high pointed it and then brought it down, so it was impressive.
That's so incredible hard to do. You have to be a bit lucky, but yeah, it's good to see. It's good to see him.
It registered on the Richter scale when he landed.
He's a big guy.
He is a big guy.
Yeah, it's good to see. I think if it's right in, I think the Chief couldn't really get anything going on offense run-wise. And I think that's one of the reasons I think Kalia Davis, and it's probably the reason we've kept him for so long, despite him being basically injured for 3 years. It's good to see. Hopefully he can stay healthy and contribute, make us better.
I think they ran almost 200 yards on us, I think.
Did they?
70 something odd yards. I think maybe like 30 odd was that 1-1 from
Mahomes had a few bit,
I remember being surprised, and it's like actually they've won it.
Supposed to be positive time yardage of the show.
Anyway, it is, but I can't.
I know.
Can't help drifting back. I think we've covered everything. Really, missed opportunities, Paul. You feel you've covered
I think we've covered that. I want you to answer the question, chaps. How are we feeling after that loss? And there's a reason I've asked you that question. So which one of you fine gentlemen wants to answer that first? Look at Lee smiling. For those people listening to the pod, go and watch YouTube because he shouldn't be smiling at this point of the show.
Well, I'm feeling okay. I mean, to be fair, how many of us in pre-season, when we all did our season-long predictions, how many predicted that we'd win this game?
Not many,
Not many.
I would imagine. That's
Out of the
definitely
four
one
of us,
easy
Paul.
L in there.
Paul was the only one that
Probably me, Najee. I always go for a Niners win.
That's
No,
right.
I'm joking. Nah.
I don't think you did, Paul. I'm sure you predicted the same.
To be
as all of us. I
fair,
think all four of us said we'd get beat
On the
Chiefs.
way up,
Yeah.
on the way up,
5
I
and
was
2. I think we had it. Well, sorry, Paul. Go.
no, just going to say, Gareth, on the train on the way up, we were saying off air we'd lose this one as long as we beat the Cowboys, and that was the mantra going into it. So that's the positive.
Yeah.
part to
Cowboys
bring them
matters
back.
more.
Yeah.
It's
But-
it's in our conference. So
Any other reason you were smiling, Lee? Because it's this point of the show where I think you need to share with everyone how you were feeling after that one.
I was feeling vindicated for my decisions.
mm,
That's what I was feeling. I was feeling vindicated.
If you want to bring it up on the screen, then we can talk about it. I chose my score
instantaneous.
instantaneous. There it is. Yeah.
Instantaneous.
So, Najee, before you go any further,
Before
before you go any further, you're talking about Twitter. So I'm talking to Oliver Stretfield. Game is literally just finished. Lee's phone in his hand. He's like, Paul, showed me something. Now, I thought he showed me something on Twitter, some wild take. No, it was that table, which was followed by a "Get in, you beauty!" They started running around the bar as if he just scored the winning touchdown in the game. And I thought, I don't know about you, Najee, but I certainly knew where my place and the table was at that moment in time.
We wouldn't have it any other way. That's the beauty of the prediction league. People make decisions they have to live with, and it makes the table more interesting. So I'm all for it. It's all fun. I chose my score that close purely thinking we might lose this, but I think the scores are going to be there or thereabouts. And yeah, it was a little bit wrong. That last touchdown really killed me. But yeah, for the people listening, I think Paul, Gareth, and I, and the Faithfuls all scored 0, and Lee scored 7. If I got that right, you got the win for the Chiefs and the 2 points
You
for
certainly
the.
did get that right.
All right. 7 points, so Lee's right back in it. The Faithful are still on top with 31 points. Gareth's second, so first overall here, and Lee third with 27. I'm fourth with 26, so it's all very close. And Paul is now trailing behind 21, which is a little bit behind. 5
Yeah,
points. But
I'm not this. You go to a new home soon, but if Gowland wins, he's replacing you. Just remember that. And I have witnesses in that bar. So Najee was telling us about his plans, which I'm going to hand over to him. But
I
Lee,
just want to,
Yeah,
before we
go
do
on.
this, I want to shout out to Anthony, who's leading the table leaps and bounds ahead of everyone with 45 points. Unfortunately, some of those points are also dirty points. I think
30 points.
I think you might have predicted the Niners lost twice now. So
doesn't
I think
surprise me,
it does,
Mr.
yeah.
Folger. 30 points. We know who you are. It's getting noted down. Chris Wood,
I'm not
Lee,
saying
and
anything.
Najee
It's not
with
my
a
card
positive
coming.
vibe. Chris Wood was
I'm
like,
saying.
"Oh, I'm going for a Niners win. I'm going for a Niners win."
Yeah,
I'm sure he went dirty points. He changed his
of
mind.
course
And
they did. Of course they did.
apparently, the Discord crew can change their scores. I thought once you locked it in, it was locked in. Now I think Lee's got something to say about. I'm joking.
No, they can do it apparently. Whatever they need to win it is fine by us. We'll just stick on doing prediction on a Thursday night when we know nothing about who's playing, who's not playing. I can guarantee you that if I
think
knew
it's
that
better
Debo and
us four doing
JJ,
it that way.
yeah, I
But
can
we just have
guarantee
to
you that.
remember that at the end, where we're comparing to the other.
Yeah,
club.
exactly. If I'd known that JJ and Debo were sick or not playing, I probably would have gone for a Chiefs win. Anyway, this is where we are. It's very close. It's all to play for.
We need a clean points table. A clean points
We do.
table.
No.
Full table and clean points only.
To be fair,
mean,
Gareth,
Do you know what you have to do? You have to predict better. That's what you have to
Oh,
do.
how long is
There
it?
it
He's got the receipts, everyone. God damn
There
you,
it
Gowland.
is.
However, Gareth, a lot of people have commented how much they loved the dirty points remark. People were driving their cars to work, nearly swerving, spitting cups of tea out. They were like, Gareth is bringing the fire. And they want to see more of it, buddy. That's what they've told me. You've got to give the faithful more.
So
Well-
onto the trophy. So
Oh my god.
in the throes of euphoria at the end of the game, after I scored a 7-point game, I mentioned to Paul, can you remember the Only Fools and Horses episode, just after he'd become a millionaire through selling the watch through the auction? And the next time you see him, he's going over to see his to see his mother's grave, and it's basically, don't worry, I'm going to get all this done up. So it's just a headstone. The next time you see it, it's an actual tomb in the middle of an East London cemetery. Well, the trophy's going to be a lot like that. It's going to be a massive trophy. It's going to be a 6-foot replica.
I bought this. This was the
inflatable.
Big one. This is the biggest one I could find that was red
Najee,
and gold.
there's nothing wrong with his trophy, son. But if
Right.
Gowland wins, everybody, he's just told you it's getting
I'll tell you what,
replaced.
if I win, the new trophy's going to have LED lights and Bluetooth.
There's no rumour to it, chaps, that he went home today and he measured up about hanging a banner in the front room, which Andrew was like, "What are you doing?" He was like, "I'm just going to hang that banner when I win that score prediction league." But yes, Najee, he went into a lot of detail. Now, if anybody knows Lee as well as we do, that plan will not just be pie in the sky. He'll already have it mapped out. He'll have it mocked up, ready to order.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Photo
Can you
shop.
remember watching the program, The League, which was all about fantasy football?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
You've never seen that, Gareth? You
No,
need to
don't think
watch
I
The
do.
League. It's absolutely
funny.
hilarious.
Yeah,
So it's about 6 people who have a fantasy football league, and they compete over the 6 years, I think it was, sort of 6 seasons. And I think it was season 2, or maybe the end of season 1, they decided that not only do you have a trophy for first place, but you also have a trophy for last place. And the last place trophy was called the Sacco. Now, what it was a mould of somebody's scrotum made out of brass. And the loser got the Sacco.
Have you noticed
That's
he kept
what we
this
do.
quiet last year when he wasn't doing so well, and now he's like,
Absolutely.
Now I'm off the bottom of the table.
Brett Sinclair,
Make the
we
plans
don't
now.
need any volunteers. That wasn't
Funny
a
enough, I was
request.
just about to say Brett Sinclair's volunteered.
Judging by the photos he sent you the other week, that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, my eyes are still hurting.
No. God. This
Right,
is what
enough-
happens.
Enough of the score predictions.
Yeah.
So it has been. Good
Are we
to
sure?
laugh.
Do we not just want to stay at them
No,
a little
get
bit
rid of
longer?
it. Get rid
I
of it.
think we're good.
Get it out of, even though I'm ahead, get it out of my sight. One final thing that possibly is worth having a quick chat about. It might be short chat. The trade deadline will be approaching. Obviously, a couple of fairly big trades. I think people are saying there's going to be expecting more, whether that's rumour, but I think it's quite wide open. I think in both the AFC and the NFC, I can see some teams, certainly Detroit and the Vikings, potentially being a bit all in this year. We're struggling. Other teams in the NFC are seeing that. AFC, I think probably Baltimore, maybe even look better than the Chiefs at the moment, even if their record doesn't say it. Do you think we're going to be busy, or do you think we might be getting some offers?
That's a good question. I think definitely
I think
both.
we'll be shopping both ways.
Yeah.
Potentially.
Do we have a timeline for Dre? Do we know when he's coming back?
No,
I'll
think
be honest,
with the-
I actually thought he was going to be activated after the 4th game. I thought
Right.
it just kept him on. Is he on IR, PUP?
I'm assuming he's on PUP because he was on. He was injured before the season started, so
Normally, even if they're surgically repaired, they normally want to give a few months before but you've seen him on the field before the games, breaking it down. He got fined for that roughness when he was. So he's clearly, if you asked him, I think he would play tomorrow, but I think they're just trying to be sensible with it.
yeah. I think I still think we need D tackles. We just don't have enough depth.
Yeah.
That's me. And we didn't talk about it, but Floyd had a better game yesterday. I think
He did.
finally maybe figuring it out. Hopefully he can carry on. But it's just in the middle. We're too thin. We've got basically 3 or 4 people, and that's just not enough. Not the way we want to play defense. So yeah, Shelby Harris is the name. I'm throwing out there that we might go for playing
DJ
at the rounds. Yeah, DJ. Well,
Who?
the Broncos are doing
No,
well.
he's-
The Browns are not. So, it's one of those things. So,
So
I'll say.
DJ Jones, wouldn't he be too expensive because he signed that new contract?
probably, yeah.
Is he? Oh, right.
I mean,
Yeah, he
Jason
signed
Hurley. Jason Hurley would be the best one to look at, Lee. I haven't looked at the ramifications
Yeah.
of the salary cap. I think it's a good conversation piece, but if we win next week, we go to buy 4-4, and at the moment, all we need to focus on is winning our division and getting in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I think this organisation, John Lynch, Shanahan has shown over the years, if a deal's there to be done, they'll do it. And Shanahan's often talked about it works both ways. I mean, Deebo Samuel's name keeps getting mentioned around the league. Could he be a piece that they'll look to move on? And who knows? The Giants are a
If
fire
I
sale.
was up
Struggle.
to speed mainly, but I can't see.
Yeah, I
us
think
taking
they
Devo.
struggled to shop Debo
Mm,
because of his injury history.
I was just,
and contract.
I mean, I don't want to see Deebo go.
Right.
Conor Ryan, calm down. I know you know where I live. I wasn't saying we're shopping Deebo. I'm just saying, though, at the moment, though, like you said, I was throwing his name because Gareth mentioned like the Lions, the Vikings. Maybe there's these teams that are looking around because if teams are calling us as buyers rather than sellers, who knows?
Mm. And see, to people wanting Juwan Jennings, given that he's got quite a friendly sort of.
I mean, if anyone wants
deal.
Ronnie Bell, they can have him.
That's free.
Yeah.
That is, we will not get anything for that.
I like what John Chapman said. They'd give people a 6th-round pick and Ronnie Bell. We don't want anything in return. Just take them.
And retire number 10 because we don't want to see anyone wearing number 10.
Right. Bad news, unfortunately, it looks like Ayuk is indeed out for the season.
Not
Dropped
a
a few sources
shock.
around the league.
Yeah, that's all. The whole bit of business about that is just turning fairly sour, I think, for me.
Yeah, it is. But it's football.
It is.
happens.
It is. But yeah, the way it's worked out, it's not clearly didn't try to get injured, but there it is.
Wish him speedy recovery. We know he listens to the
Absolutely.
show.
Absolutely.
Is there anything else? Can we just finish this flush?
You can,
Yeah,
It's
no.
Cowboys week. We can look forward to that.
It's
you
Cowboys
can't
week.
just yet. You do have to say on record, the Chiefs fans were very gracious hosts. Thank you to everybody who did travel up to Newcastle. It was, despite the result, it was a good meet.
Good.
The venue was fantastic. I would definitely go to more games there. It was surprising actually that they've got a license to stay up until 3 a.m. on a Sunday. So we were panicking towards the end of the fourth quarter, thinking they haven't called last orders yet. What's going on? And they were like, we're open until 3 a.m. There was plenty of TVs. There was locals very intrigued
free
that
food.
we were rocking up
Free
in
food.
red and white jerseys, which Andy Hodgson was very nervous that we were walking around Newcastle. But on a whole, it was a successful meet-up, Gareth. And I just
Nice.
want to say thank you to the Chiefs fans. They were
Yeah.
very funny. We've got video footage of Discord champion Barry Gray annihilating their champion. And
Annihilated.
He didn't just down that
I was
drink.
wondering where that was going to go.
Honest to God, their lad looked so confident, and Barry just strolled up. It was like he was drinking a cup of water, and it just went down. However,
And it was gone.
given the Chiefs fan, so Brad was dressed as a referee, and when Barry nailed it, he threw a yellow flag and went, "Flag on the play, Chiefs win," and the whole bar erupted. So they had a good sense of humour about them, and I did want to kind of
Yeah.
acknowledge
That's really
that.
good.
So, and they were very gracious at the end, and like I said, they did say at one point they were nervous that we were coming back, but they're
Wow.
keenly to do future meetups together because it was
Yeah.
successful.
Yeah.
So
Please no.
No, I
don't think we're gonna play
Chiefs again. I
I
don't.
don't think we're going to
Not
play
right
them
now.
all that much in regular
No.
season.
But back to the free food. So there was
Yes,
a baby
please.
shower in the event.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So
Nice.
when we turned up, there was a baby shower there. And Jamie Burgess had been over talking to them, giving them all loads of free stuff from what he's printed
As he
out
does.
and made, as he does, and they ended up letting us have all the food that was left over.
Oh,
Oh,
nice.
So there
nice.
was a load of
That's very
food there.
nice.
Yeah.
So again, as
Potential
normal.
Super Bowl meetup venue.
Yeah. And to be fair, there were some new
Yeah, I
people
think it
there that were very impressed. They said they were nervous turning up, but again, they were impressed. A few people this morning I met with in Newcastle have said, first meetup won't be my last. Why have I
Oh,
waited
great.
this long
That's
to
amazing.
turn up?
Everybody says that. Everybody
Every
says
time.
that.
Yeah.
So it was good.
True.
And one final note, Oliver Stretfield, you need to set that Amazon Alexa alarm to remind you to wear your gold chain when you pop to the shops to get the milk. If you want to know more about that, please send Oliver a DM. That's all I'm going to say.
Intriguing.
Cryptic.
Yeah.
Nice.
Does anybody know where Oliver was yesterday?
Oliver
No.
Stretfield.
Did that go straight over your head there, Paul, or did you not hear the story that Oliver was telling?
Yeah, I didn't
So
hear
he
the story
posted it
clearly.
online,
So.
and it clearly said Newcastle behind him in the post on the train
All right.
station. And then a load of people kept on texting him saying, "Where you at?" It's like,
So
well,
to
it's
clarify,
Newcastle.
he has one of those gold chains, Nadji.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
when he was ordering a drink, the barman was very intrigued by the gold chain. And the short story, Gareth, is the lad was like, "How often do you wear that gold chain?" And Oliver was like, "What do you mean, how often do I wear it?" Big, massive gold chain with San Francisco on. So when Oliver was telling us that today when we went for a bite to eat, I was like, I'm going to have to shout that out on the pod. So
That's
that was
pretty
the
good.
in-joke.
Worth it.
That's pretty good.
Worth it.
All right.
Anyway, let's get this done.
Cowboys
Thank you,
week.
gents. It's been a lot more laughter than I thought.
Yeah, it
and I
has.
think, as we said on the preview, as we said on the season preview, this game isn't going to make or break our season. I think the bye week can't come quickly enough, but before then, we will be back later this week to talk about the Cowboys. So thank you, gents, and thank you to everyone who listens to the show. Hopefully, we'll look forward to the Cowboys preview. I think already I feel a little bit better. It's the Cowboys. It's going to be Sunday Night Football at a slightly earlier time.
Late.
That extra hour, though, isn't it? Because of the clock change.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it's not
That's
1:20.
great.
It's 20 past midnight. So it's
Great,
that
great time.
little bit extra. Hopefully you've enjoyed the therapy, but flush this game and let's go beat the Cowboys. Go Niners!
go Niners.
Go Niners.
Bang, bang, Niner gang.
We love the San Francisco 49ers deep in the heart. Like Joe Montana in the corner, D. Clark. Garrison Hurst, stiff farm going 99. Don't get it twisted, one and all with prime time. John Taylor, Jerry Rice down the